Hi, everyone, and welcome to Let's Be Clear. That's silly, that sounds. Okay, so let's just be frank. Let's just say it like it is. Let's be clear. With Cynthia, right? Okay, that's my channel. So, man, our country is a mess. It's like going to the beauty shop and telling them you want a certain kind of perm, and you walk out and you look like your hair's just been uh, sucked up in a vacuum and left that way. Not what you were expecting, right? Okay, so I've been quiet for a long time through all of this mess, and I'm over it. Um, you know, America was created by uh, um, by a bunch of white guys. So what I want to do is I want to put things into perspective. Okay. There were many people that touched foot on this country before Columbus. We all know that. We all know that because of the many scientists and explorers and archaeologists um, who have made it their life to discover history. Knowledge. Knowledge is wealth. Always remember, knowledge is wealth. If you don't have knowledge, you should not try to uh, talk about things that you have no knowledge about. Speaking about things that you have no knowledge about makes you ignorant. Ignorance not a bad thing. It just means that you have no knowledge about a certain person, place, or thing. Okay? So never look at words in a negative way. You know, someone tells you to F off, fork off. Wow, okay, well, I would laugh and I would say, okay, man, I'm out. But that's the beauty of living in America. I've just been taking this last week and a half or so to listen and learn, to observe. And here's what I've observed and heard in that time. What I've recognized, what I've come to learn by researching, what I speak of all the time when I do these videos, is to do your research. Don't just sit at home and get mad at the TV or the news that's on the TV or, you know, some show you're watching. Do something. That's what they're always saying on Fox News, right? They're always saying, but nobody's doing anything. And I've talked about this before too. Yes, we're doing something. So start talking about what we're doing. You know, just because some of us may not have the money to have the technology to do a decent podcast. This is how I do my podcast. It works for me. I don't have a lot of followers. I don't have a lot of people watching. You know, my views are not up in the hundreds of freaking thousands or millions. But this helps me. Okay. And if it helps anyone out there, great. If, you know, I'm happy. Okay. But this is how I'm able to give my help. So when I watch and observe and research what I know from my own knowledge, from my own years on this earth, I'm 63, or actually I'll be 63 this year. And so I've been on earth a fairly good time, comparatively. In the 70s, when Carter was president, Jimmy Carter, he did things that were not good, that brought about change that was not good. So I want to encourage people of color, who are angry, who are being sucked into this critical race theory teaching in schools from kindergarten up. If you're uncertain or you don't feel comfortable about it, go research. Go look it up, okay? Look things up. You've got to understand that, and I don't even understand the people of color who are in the Democratic Party. I just don't get it, because if they were to truly do their history and truly give a damn about who they are and where they come from, then they would not be Democrats. But the problem is that, it's just like so many people. I mean, I was in a place where I wanted to control my life and everyone in it. And, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that in this country. Because in this country, in all of the United States of America, we are a free country. We are free to speak about anything. But we're not free to speak about anything and then beat the hell out of somebody because we don't want to hear what they say. That is what they call not fair and just. That is what they keep saying is racist. I can say whatever I want, but you can't. You can't say whatever you want because I don't like the color of your skin. So that's hypocrisy and racist. Okay, to live in a free country, I can promise you this: go to any other country outside of the United States of America, any country, go there and behave and talk like you do here, demand like you do here, go start burning places down like you have done here, and you know who you are. You would be lucky if you lived throughout the day. Go check it out. And while you're at it, and while you're doing your research, I want you to do something else. When you watch CNN News, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, when you watch those local news stations, I've watched all of them, and I now am down to 3 TV news stations, and that's Fox News, One America News, OAN, One America News. One America News, they have a few reporters that are, like Fox News or all of them, they got their little things they talk about and all that. But Chewy, stop. So anyway, I might have to shut down here in a moment. Okay. So I just want to get this out. I'll just be quick here. Do your research. From when Washington, when the first president, when Congress, when our federal government was created. The Democratic Party did not want African Americans in this country. You got to ask yourself, why didn't they shut down the KKK? Now, go do your research on Jimmy Carter and what he did to this country. Go do your research in 1974, Chuck Schumer. And look what he did to many African Americans, people of color, living in a what was considered to be a nice area, but a bunch of white folks wanted it, so he took care of it, but it apparently backfired on him. Go check that out. Go check out Joe Biden in the 70s and 80s and 90s, okay? And do the research on him. Check out who he's got his arm around in one of the videos. That he's buddy-buddy with a leader of the Ku Klux Klan. If you're not familiar with the Ku Klux Klan, which I'm pretty sure a lot of you aren't, that are in a younger generation, but I really think you should do that research. It's going to really piss you off, which is probably good, you know. But all of us need to recognize, excuse me, how far all of us have come. Now, we've opened the doors to, over years, in Democratic-run states, and please, message me if I'm wrong. You've really got to follow up and do the research. You've got people that are telling you things that aren't true. And they are saying it in such a way that I'm talking to you, but they're not telling you, do the research. They're not telling you, look it up. Personally, I don't want the government controlling my life. But they do. They do because I'm in the system. And I've been in the system. And I've tried to get out of the system. So, it's all about control. And it's all about who has the most money, gets to have the control. Power. Democrats are like, they just want to be in control. They want to be your mom and dad, and they're not. And they never will be. I want you to look at, you talk about, so many people out there talk about white privilege. I'll tell you who your white privilege is. Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Jerry Nadler, what's his face that, oh geez, I can't even think of his name right now. He just disgusts me that bad. Shifty Schiff, and Joe Biden, and Kamala Harris just falls right into that as well, right? If you'll recall her debate with the rest of the Democrat presidential candidates on stage, and reminding Joe Biden of what she went through as a woman of color, as a child of color, when he was such a racist. Do you think he's changed? I don't think so. I think they're using all of what's happening. Did you know that before the FBI took down all the videos from January 6th, what they're calling an insurrection? Okay. How many of you watched the videos before that, before they were taken down? I did. I watched them, and I'll tell you what I saw. I saw security officers, Capitol officers, letting people in the door. They were just opening the door to them. There was no trying to stop them. They opened the door to them. And did you also know that the only channels that had who was arrested, the first person they arrested was a guy, a leader in Antifa, and he was a member of Black Lives Matter. So, Jerry Nadler says, "Oh, that's just a myth. Antifa's a myth." No, they're not. They're on social media, and what the hell are they doing on social media? Why is social media allowing them to be on there? I'll tell you why. Because they're private companies, and they believe they do not have to be held to account. Well, all of us are held to account. So I believe at some point that's all going to come crashing in on them. I've removed myself from Facebook. I've removed myself from Hulu. I've taken myself off Amazon. I'm not going to do it, man. I'm not going to do it. I grew up in a time where we didn't have cell phones. When I was born, I don't even know if we had TV when I was born, but as I got older, I remember TV. It was black and white. There was no color TV, and at 10 o'clock, the person came on and said, "It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?" Well, I was climbing out the window at 10 o'clock at night when I heard that go off. I was in the 3rd grade. I hated my home. So anyway, moving on. But, it's not impossible to get off of there. All of my stuff, yes, I take care of all of my stuff basically through technology. I love technology. But, Jeff Bezos, what's his nuts, Zuckerberg, and what the hell's that other guy's name that runs Twitter? And Zuckerberg has Instagram, and Bezos, oh my God, Bezos. Now Bezos owns MGM, he owns YouTube, and he owns Google. So, but these people, you got to know they're not God. Okay? Your life is not going to fall apart because you leave Facebook. Go from Facebook and go on MySpace. Or let's all get together and create a new space. Okay? We've got to start fighting back here. People got to start looking up stuff. Do the research, for goodness sakes. This is not a socialist country. We are not a racist country. There's racism because so many of us have been kept down for so many years. We have to battle through that. But we battle through it with education, with knowing. And we're not going to know any of that if nobody stands up against what's happening. I mean, it is just unfreaking believable what's happening in our country. I can't stand it anymore. I just can't stand it anymore. More of us have to speak out. I still would love to see millions of us gather and head on over to the White House and camp out until things change, until Kamala Harris and Joe Biden leave office. They need to be held accountable for what they have done. So do Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Schiff, Nadler. Geez, I still can't grab that other guy's name. And he's in the Foreign Affairs Committee. Is that the one? Something like that. Anyway, it's just all sick and wrong. And so many of us are tired of it. I want you to think about this COVID-19 virus. Yes, it came from China. There's no doubt in anyone's mind that it came from China. I don't like when government tries to make its citizens feel like they're inadequate, uneducated, worthless, because we're not. So let's get that clear. But this virus, if you really look at it, okay, this is a very specifically targeted virus. Now, how is that? The flu is not targeted. The flu targets everybody, young and old, from birth up. And it takes many lives every year. But what about this COVID-19? It was very, very targeted. It did not target children, teenagers, or young adults. But young adults could be carriers of it. Ones that did get it and got real sick and may have passed away from it had other things wrong. They had heart problems, they had diabetes, they had some other serious ailment. And so because of that, their bodies were not able to fight off such a virus, okay? But why was it so targeted towards senior citizens? Why is that? Well, I have a theory about that. If you take out all the elderly, then all you're left with are our youth. People my grandchildren's age. 25, 26 years old. Maybe to 30 years old. But about 30 and younger. So if they were successful in that, think about it. What would happen if they were successful? Then they could, the college instructors, our federal government, local, state governments could do whatever they wanted. And our youth, because, they're not taking the time, generally speaking, to do the research in the history of their lives and of this country. And quite frankly, I'm really sick and tired of not hearing about Native Americans. They were the first ones here. Period. They crossed the Bering Bridge how many thousands of years ago? And they split up all over this country over time. So when we talk about people of color, I want to include their where they come from. Are they European? Do they come from England? Do they come from Africa? In Africa? Do they come from India? Do they come from Taiwan or China or Korea? Just because our skin is white, and a very good example was the guy that was shot after he did the shootout at a grocery store, and they got him, and they were walking him out because he had been shot. And because his skin was white, all of a sudden Twitter started blowing up. There you go, some white guy just shot a bunch of people. Some white guy. So all of a sudden, all white people are bad. We in this country are a human race. But people that come here for freedom. People who have come here that are like Ilhan Omar from Minneapolis, Minnesota, along with 30,000 other Somalians and Congolans, were brought to and dropped off in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and St. Cloud. And from there, some of them have ventured out. And generally speaking, when people come to this country from around the world, generally speaking, it's important to learn the law of the land. But if you are living in a place where your local government isn't doing their job, then there's going to be chaos. There's going to be rioting. There's going to be just violence, daily violence. That's what it is in Minneapolis, St. Paul. That's what it is in St. Cloud. That's what it is in New York City and other places in New York, in Portland, Oregon, in Seattle, Washington, and in Washington, D.C. So do your research, okay? Please. Have a desire to want to know your history so that you can actually feel good about how far you've come. That, let me give you a thing to feel good about. I can feel good as a woman knowing that back in history, a bunch of women got tired of being beaten and belittled, and kind of like, I guess you could call it a slave to their husbands, slave to men. That and that's the way it is in some countries still. But it's not like that now anymore, because a whole bunch of women in England and in this country finally stood up for themselves. And they stood up for themselves. They were beaten because of it. They were starved because of it. They were chastised because of it. They were shunned because of it. But they stuck to it and they won. They didn't burn down buildings. They didn't kill anybody. They didn't throw shit at the police officers. But they were beaten by police officers. They were put in jail. And they were treated horribly. But they won. Without violence, they won. That's not privileged. that's fighting for a cause, the same as Martin Luther King did. Now, I want to be really clear about something else. This stuff about George Floyd, oh my gosh. Okay, so, the cop killed him. Plain and simple. There's no getting around it. The guy killed George Floyd. Well, the guy's in prison now, okay? Thanks to Pelosi and to Maxine Waters and to Joe Biden, they may be able to reverse that charge on the basis of interference, okay? So if that happens, I would go and start banging on Pelosi's door, Maxine Waters' door, and Joe Biden's door. Okay? And take it out on them, because they will have been the ones who really messed it up for you. But George Floyd is not a hero. But isn't it odd? I found it rather interesting that Nancy Pelosi would have her Democratic friends gather around her as she announced her gratitude for George Floyd sacrificing his life to make this great change in our country. Why would she say that? George Floyd was not sacrificing his life for anything. George Floyd said, I don't want to die. That was not a person who wanted to die. So, if you wanted to consider a really good conspiracy theory, if you were a group of people who wanted to really mix things up on a huge scale, then you would probably do what they did to President Trump for 5 years. It wasn't 4 years, it was 5 years, because he started running in 2015. He talked about it in 2014, and then he actually did it in 2015. And he won in 2016 because a lot of us were sick and tired of what's happening in our government. And so he's a good businessman, and a good businessman who is successful in their career stands a good chance of getting shit done in the White House. And that's exactly what he did. Do I like the way he talked? No. Hell no. Okay? I would have loved for him to slow it down, right? Oh my gosh. But he got stuff done. While everybody was putting him down, cussing him out, trying to get him out of the White House, impeaching him, talking bad about him, treating him like crap. Reporters oh my gosh. I wished he would have said, you know what? You don't talk to me in that tone. And that's a big problem. Having some respect for someone else means you have respect for yourself. If you don't have respect for yourself, then you're not going to give two craps about how you talk to anyone else. So have some respect for yourself. Look this stuff up. I can't be the only one who knows these things, who has seen these things. So I encourage you to look them up. But let's get back to George Floyd quick. George Floyd was a felon. I'm sorry he died. He didn't die because I'm white. He died because some stupid cop killed him. And his stupid cop buddies watched him. Okay? That's why George Floyd died. So, and there's other reasons too, but the main reason was that. So in this conspiracy theory, think about it. You want to start something big, then you screw with the new guy's head in the presidency for 5 years. Then you get some stupid cop to kill a man of color. I mean, why else would that have happened? Can you imagine? There had to be someone else sacrificed for doing that, and he was the one. Okay? And then all hell broke loose. So, if you wanted to create chaos, there you go. Isn't that a great chaos theory? I like it. And they haven't stopped. Now they're into critical race theory. Now they're into trying to get rid of the Second Amendment. Trying to get rid of the First Amendment, our free speech. So be careful out there. You know, those of you who think it would be great to be under government control, do your research. It's not comfortable. It doesn't feel good. I'm 63. I have a business that's extremely small because it's just me. And I love what I do. I help others, and I love that. But I don't leave my home. Okay? Do your research, and please, please, please don't let your kids get the freaking COVID injection. Don't do it. You people gotta open your ears, open your eyes, stop closing off your mind to what you see before you. So I gotta run. Think about that, though. Think about those things. Please. Be safe out there. God bless. Bye for now. Thanks for listening.